I had your job once. I was good at it. Things were simpler then.
I'm so in! Start the movie! Wait, oh no, we're not watching the movie. We're gonna do Cordkillers. Damn.
Welcome to Cordkillers, our mission to report the intel from the front lines of the cord-cutting revolution so you, my friends, have all the information you need to be able to watch the things you want, when you want, where you want, on whatever device you want. I'm Tom Merritt.
Hey man, I'm Brian Brushwood, and if I'm not mistaken, that looked like a trailer for the new Blade Runner movie on a scale of 1 to kangaroo. How excited are you, man?
I am Wallaby.
Ooh, that's a lesser kangaroo.
I think, no, isn't that a better? Okay, I'm higher than kangaroo.
Yeah, no. Kangaroos are better than wallabies. Come on, but not as good as our wonderful
We're gonna start
guest.
an Australian fight now.
I'm koala.
Ooh, there it is. Nicole Spagnuolo, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, guys. It's great to be here. It's been a long time.
Good to have Nicole. Obviously, Nicole hosts the Beautiful Wednesday, the morning stream best day of the week segment about stuff to watch. If you're not checking that out, you gotta subscribe to the morning stream and listen to Nicole's recommendations on Wednesdays.
And Brian's and Scott's. They've kind of helped me with the load over the years. So
absolutely.
Yeah, we keep up with what's streaming. So
yeah.
And tell
so
people
she
about
knows whereof she speaks. And we are going to now speak about our primary target. PricewaterhouseCoopers. You may think all they're good for is bringing out the Oscars, right? Oh, no. They also surveyed 1,200 U.S. adults and found 51% of those who reduced their cable package ended up paying more money per month on video than before because of the streaming packages they added. However, 68% of those who cut cable out entirely spent less per month on video. The other notable statistic in their study is that 84% of current cable subscribers plan to keep their connection next year. That's up. Last year, only 77% said they were keeping their cable connection. Pay TV lost around 1.4 million subscribers in the first 9 months of 2016. So they followed through on their threat, Brian.
Yeah, so a few different things to unpack here. First of all, the 51% of those who reduced their cable package ended up paying more money per month. That doesn't surprise me, and I think that's the reason that they pick these cable packages based on giant studies where they find out the exact amount that can make it sound like it's a big enough discount that it's worth it to keep with cable, but also give them an opportunity to maximize the revenues. And when that happens, yeah, sure, I'll add Hulu Premium and, Amazon Prime, and I already have Netflix. I do think it's interesting that 68% of those who cut cable entirely end up saving month over month. So it does kind of, we talked before about the idea of if you want to dabble in the waters of cutting the cord, try just canceling everything. And then the moment you want something, give yourself permission to buy it again. I think that's a pretty good way if you want to save money. Of course, we're not necessarily a show about saving money. We're a show about having maximal choice to watch the content that you love the way you want.
Yeah. And when you go skinny bundle, you give yourself less control. So I think this bears out that when you just cut cable out altogether, you have the maximum amount of control. Nicole, does this fit your experience?
Yeah, well, I'm also thinking, Netflix and Amazon Prime, they're all getting into the TV show market more and more, and they're compelling people to spend money on shows that they can't watch anywhere else. So they're becoming networks in and of themselves. So I could see why people are like, well, I want all of this, but I also want to watch all these other shows that are on places that I can't get normally. So I can see why they're spending more. But as far as, I've cut the cord, gosh, how long? I think it's been 3 years, something like that.
So let's, this is not anything I've researched, but I wonder how much cable subscribership and people cutting the cord as a cost-saving measure is a lagging indicator of the health of the economy, right? Could it be that in general, we have the kind of money that allows us to afford to kind of waste it on being lazy and be like, I don't know, I have all this stuff I want to watch? Because when we first started the show, it was shortly after the giant housing bubble burst, and that a lot of people were cutting the cord as a cost-saving measure, and it was a very different landscape back then.
Yeah, that could definitely explain the 77%, right, Nicole?
Right. Well, and some people don't want to think about television too much. The one thing I've learned from cutting the cord is you have to be very purposeful in what you're watching. And sometimes I don't have the energy and I just want to just turn the TV on and have it fed to me.
No,
Just,
I'm definitely guilty of the same thing. Right now, as we record this, I honestly cannot even tell you whether or not I'm currently still subscribed to Sling TV. I just haven't checked.
I had a few months where I thought I had canceled, but apparently I went to the wrong place on Amazon because they kind of hid it somewhere else. And I was like, oh, I'm not subscribed.
I know I'm still subscribed to Stars because I can still watch Ash versus Evil Dead.
That's how you know, because the show actually plays when you go and select it.
Correct.
Well, and that's what Apple's TV app is supposed to be all about. It's saying, hey, let's take the thinking away. You just have all your subscriptions and we'll show you what the things you want to watch. We'll make it as easy or easier than cable television. And maybe someday it'll get there.
Maybe. I hope. It's very fractured right now. It's been fractured for a long time, but it does seem to be getting better.
I mean, and that's the thing, right? Yes, we can definitely point to a lot of ridiculous artifacts of where we are right now, but unquestionably where we are now is better than we were 4 years ago, which was better than where we were 4 years before that, right?
True. Very true.
Yeah, and Nicole, back to something you were saying about people like, well, I need to get Netflix because I want to watch Stranger Things, or I want to watch Luke Cage, or whatever the hot show is that's out right at the moment, or I need to get Amazon because of Man in the High Castle. That will start to pull people away from cable. They'll start to think, well, now I do have these multiple subscriptions. Maybe I should just dump cable and buy the other shows I want and spend most of my time watching in here. And I think that explains these moves like we've seen where Netflix joins the Comcast cable box because Comcast wants to say, oh, no, you can still have Netflix and stay in our one universe.
I mean, do you ever think there's a future where Netflix becomes a channel, and they just play Netflix shows on cable? It's
no. If anything, what I see is them adding a new service called Netflix Now. It's a special channel where just, it's what a novel experience. Just, click your personalized Netflix Now button and based on your demographic, your viewing habits, your age, and what you like, it's as if it's just a continuous flow of all your favorite things, which, to be honest, as I say that, wouldn't be the worst idea in the world. That actually sounds like an awesome service.
It's basically taking that playlist idea that they introduced, and I don't think anybody really uses, and making it auto-generated just for you.
Yeah.
I kind of want that too.
Discovering new shows. I mean, a lot of times there's something about catching a movie in the middle that I've seen before, or maybe I haven't seen before, that haven't been compelled to watch it. But last night.
But it seduces you in there.
It does. American Ultra. I caught it halfway through.
We're actually seeing the beginning of this with the new way that Netflix displays, instead of static images, when you hover over a movie, it doesn't just show you a static image or a series of images. Instead, it actually just starts playing some interesting stuff. And by virtue of not moving, you're sort of showing all right, we'll keep going. Maybe this will go somewhere.
Yeah, that's how I started watching Stranger Things. I was like, oh, I'm going to see, what's this? And then it just started playing. And then 24 hours and no bath later.
Yeah, I think it's I think there's something to be said for that mid movie pickup, because if it's a movie you're not sure you're really going to like, when you join in the middle, you're like, oh, I'll just keep watching it. I haven't invested any time in it psychologically. Right. And then you end up watching something you wouldn't have watched and maybe get introduced to something you like.
You know what? That's a good way to put it, because when it used to be when you would change channels and you came into the beginning of the movie, it was like you were a tourist. I'm not really somebody who's watching this movie. I'm somebody just seeing what the experience is like for all those people who are actually watching. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not really watching Made in Manhattan.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it just was on when I turned the channel and then I got distracted.
But that was the whole game, is you would tune in and you would say well, I just want to stay around long enough to figure out which movie this is. And you wait I recognize that actor, or that's that scene from that trailer. And before you know it, you're watching the last 2/3 of Rocky IV.
Yeah. No, absolutely. But you didn't have to make a choice.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's why I like these new services like Sling TV and PlayStation View. It kind of brings that back in a way.
Yeah. Oh, and Pluto. We've talked about Pluto.tv for a long time. Same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, one choice you can make, and then you never have to make it again, is to back Cordkillers at patreon.com/Cordkillers. Just put $1 an episode and then don't even think about it. Just know in your heart that you're making this show exist.
Yeah, man. Look, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, we used to be part of a network where we didn't have a lot of control over the content we made. We weren't able to be loud, live, and independent. But everything changed when you guys started supporting us directly. And correct me if I'm wrong here. If you guys enjoy wondering about the health of our show, you could go to graphtreon.com/creator/Cordkillers. It looks like we've seen a huge bump in donors, man.
Nice.
We cannot thank you
that's
guys
great.
enough. That's fantastic. 1,912 of you guys are saying, you know what, you give us just enough advice to watch what we want, when we want, whatever device we want. And some of us are saving money. We decide to kick you $1 an episode, and you get your very own RSS feed where you get both the program and spoiler in time back to back in like a 2.5, 3 hour rock block just there. Well, actually, probably 2 to 2.5 hours.
Yeah, it's right there waiting for you at patreon.com/Cordkillers. Go there now while we tell you how to watch things.
Use your eyes. Spoiler alert.
Well, that it pretty much ruins it spoiled that. On to the next segment. No, CNET's Ty Pendlebury put 6 over-the-air antennas to the test in Manhattan and Long Island and found that the $10 Channel Master Flatenna fared well enough to make it the pick for best antenna on a budget, but the overall best antenna was Antennas Direct Clearstream Eclipse, which is $59, or if you pay $79, you can get the amplifier. The $40 Mohu Relief gets a nod for being the best performance in areas with less than optimal coverage. It did the best at pulling in weak signals, if that describes where you live. And the other thing that was interesting about his write-up is he found that sometimes the booster, the amplifier, would make a difference and make things better, but sometimes it would actually make things worse.
And I assume he controlled for stuff like interference. It wasn't the picture, of course, depicts all of them set up on the window at the same time. But I wonder if that was actually the case. He probably made it very scientific. These are the real heroes of the internet, people who methodically examine, with a bullet point list of things they're looking for the efficacy and quality of some of our gizmos.
Yeah, he tested each antenna in the same location in Manhattan so that everything was, the same situation, and then the same location in Long Island. So he was getting more of a distant suburban signal, and that's how he was able to tell, like, oh, okay, the Mohu actually pulls in those weaker channels a lot better.
Right on. So, Nicole, do you do any over-the-air stuff?
Yes, so in Phoenix we did, because everything's flat, so we had great coverage.
You were able to get straight from New York.
We did pick up some Tucson channels in Phoenix.
Ain't bad, yeah.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours away. And we weren't sure how over the air was going to work here in Denver, but when we moved in, we found out that the previous owner had an antenna in the basement, and we were able to pick up channels through that. Since then, we had somebody come out and put it to the attic, and it was actually overpowered. So I guess the previous owner thought, well, if we have more of, the megahertz or something like that?
More of the megahertz.
More of the megahertz, the better, right?
Give me turbo hertz. That's what I need. I need all the megahertz. I need the mega ultra turbo
you
EX
don't mess
hertz.
with these little internal flat antennas like I have.
Right. I mean, it was like a big, giant thing. I mean, I guess kids are like, well, I'm going to put it in the basement. Might as well make it big. So,
yeah.
It's an earth antenna.
It can actually hurt your signal if you're powering too much. You're almost going beyond where you're trying to get service from. So we ended up getting it, and it's perfect now. I love it. So we did what we did in Phoenix, which was over the air to our TiVo. We set up all of our shows through TiVo and record over the air that way.
Yeah, we do that too. And, we use a Mohu for our main antenna. And I had bought one of these $10 flat antennas and put it in the other room. And then I found out that some of the channels I want are at an angle just off. And that's why I was getting a little bit of reception problem with things like CBS. So I brought the $10 flat antenna out of the bedroom because we were never using it. And I just put it pointed the other way and had both that antenna and the Mohu go into a splitter. so that they were combined in their signal going into the TiVo, and now I get great reception on all the channels.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, man, you know what would be a great idea is if, like, for an entire community, they could put up one really tall antenna and they could send a coaxial cable to everyone. They could call it community antenna television, CATV.
Oh, like CCTV.
Or
Yeah,
CATV. Yeah, and you just plug it in.
CATV.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
You know what would be really great is if you did that, then you could start, like, retransmitting signals from other
Oh, sure. You could bring
broadcasters.
satellite signals at that point. Yeah.
Over the air.
Yeah, over
Right.
the air, yeah.
Yeah. You can pay a little bit, just to defray the cost, right?
Well, I mean, if they were all like an all-in-one bundle, you could just pay one fee and have all you
I think
could
the
eat.
city should have granted a franchise, though, so that there's not competition and it drives up the price. Yes.
Their way is completely dead in the water.
Yeah.
What is-
Oh. You're talking about that, what was that service called that got killed?
Oh, you're
We were
talking about Aereo?
just
No.
cable television, but yeah, Aereo, right?
Yeah, no, I was
Yeah.
being coy describing the reason we have cable television was because in the 1950s, that's what CATV is, that coax cable is. Communities would put up one antenna for the whole community and they'd run this thing called cable to everyone.
Gotcha. I was thinking of Ariel. What am I?
Amazon also made its Prime Video service available in more than 200 countries Wednesday. It's free where Prime membership is available, or standalone for $5.99 or €5.99 a month. When I say it's free, you pay for the Prime shipping. You get it as part of that. If Prime shipping isn't available in your country, you pay the $5.99. Amazon original content comes in English with French, Italian, Portuguese, and Spanish subtitles and dubbed versions in some markets.
Yeah, man, this is the kind of whispered, heralded thing that was coming with the Grand Tour,
they
right?
finally just did it. We were like, okay, they say the Grand Tour is going to be available in every country, but what does that mean? They're being coy about Amazon Drive. And finally, they're like, yeah, okay, 200 countries, here you go, done.
Yeah, it reminds me of Trent Reznor had sworn or intimated that there would be a new Nine Inch Nails album before the end of the year, and here we are with 2 weeks left, and he just tweets, new album, bloop. I did, kept my promise. Boop, 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 boop.
I wonder if our friend Patrick Beja is going to do Amazon Prime now.
Oh, I would have to imagine, right?
And I wonder what the differences will be between what's available to him and what's available to us and what's available in Australia. I mean, all the originals will be available, but those other deals are usually varied across different borders. All right, let's move on to what to watch under surveillance.
Not like real estate. It's all about location.
Oh, man. Dude, Tom, you're going to have to walk me through this one. I read the article like twice, and I'm like, wait, what's happening?
Yeah, so I read this on The Verge first, and then I saw an ad for it before Star Wars, before Rogue One. Woody Harrelson is going to live stream his film, Lost in London, into theaters as it's being shot in real time. So here, it's one of those Fathom events things, right? You go to the theater, you sit down, you'll be able to watch the film happen in real time. It's a 100-minute story based on Harrelson's actual arrest in London. It will take place in 14 locations and be shot in a single take. So essentially, it's like a play, but it's in 14 different locations, and they have multiple camera angles. So it's a live broadcast of a 100-minute story. Harrelson wrote and directs and stars in the film, along with Owen Wilson and Willie Nelson, and it streams on January 19th at 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
So weird.
It's actually less weird than you think because one of the great things that makes this very show possible is the virtualization of so many things that we've seen before. And in many ways, this is just a one-man show. If somebody gets arrested and they have an interesting story, Monica Lewinsky had a one-woman show, and
Carrie Fisher had a one-woman show.
Sure, right. What's her name? The chick who played Pat on Saturday Night Live. Julia Sweeney had a one-woman show and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a 21st century version of exactly that. You could tell. I'm guessing these are stories he's told before, and he's probably walked around and rehearsed going from place. There's walking tours is a thing that exists.
But it's not one person.
Correct. So the only thing is they're cutting to different places, but this is kind of just like the technology has gotten to the point where we could do everything that a play has. But instead of him standing on stage and tossing to a clip or tossing to a Skype session with somebody, they're just bothering to do it on the streets, right?
Yeah. So they have to have 14 setups, 14 crews probably. Maybe some of the crews can move from one location to the other at some point, but they have to have multiple crews at multiple locations, and the actors have to move between them, and they only get one shot at it, right?
Yeah.
Like if they blow a line, they blew a line. There's no second take.
So, and by the way, it looks like, is that you, Bryce, saying that that's not a film technically?
Yeah, that's just a play. That's that's exactly
But
what
it's
all
not
of
on a
these,
stage.
Well,
It's
okay.
not, it's not a play with scenery.
It's
It's being
public
shot like a
performance.
film.
But it's just public performance. It's just a
Well,
play
okay,
on-
so tell me
on
this, is, because there are films that are just films of plays. Are those not films?
Those are recordings of plays.
All the NBC stuff like Hairspray and
Right.
all
Are those...
that.
Grease.
But those are also recordings of well-known plays, I think. I argue
Musicals,
just against
but
the
yeah.
word film.
well...
Those were all live.
What defines a film? I mean, technically, none of it's film. Like,
Well,
it ain't,
okay, well-
none of it been filmed in a
Bryce
long
is not-
time.
Bryce isn't wrong. This is not a film, but I also don't think it's a play because it's not in a
Okay.
single location on a stage, and it's multiple cameras. It's not playing to an audience. It's playing to cameras.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Film. Just it seems like it's a weird distinction because they're making a big deal that it's the first film that's done this, but it's
Yeah, but what else do you call the experience of getting in your car, driving to the Alamo Drafthouse, sitting down, and watching a 100-minute moving picture show?
that.
If not a film, what do
But
you
that's
call
the whole
that
thing of these
experience?
Fathom events is that they put on live versions of plays, live performances of plays.
Sure. But
don't-
from the consumer perspective, if you're marketing it, would you? Is there another word besides film that you think you would use? I mean, I would probably just say show, but
Yeah, I mean, show is generic enough. I think that it fits.
I mean, if it's a live TV show, we call it a TV show. We don't say, "Oh, that's a play."
True. You know, no, that's a good point actually. But then I don't know what the difference is between what this is doing and a play.
It's one
just
take.
It's not on a stage.
I mean, the difference is camera angles, right? A play is like, oh, everybody's looking at a stage, and so we have to do it.
But
perfect.
even that gets changed because as we saw on the live version of Grease and stuff, it's like that there was no audience for that. They were
sure.
looking all directions.
Well, no, there was a live audience for Grease, but that was unusual. That was like, oh, well, look, and they pointed it out. Like, we've even let people watch while we're doing it. Like, it was a special thing. So, yeah.
I mean, I would say you're 100% correct. It's not a film, but also very few things that we see on the big screen are films. If we're going to play that game.
It's an interesting thing. Like, hey, well, I've got a way to save the movie theaters. We'll do live things that you have to go to the movie theater to watch, and you can only watch them once because they're live.
How much
Well,
rehearsal do you think, Nicole, how much rehearsal do you think they're doing for all these?
Oh, I have to imagine they're doing. Well, I don't know. It is Woody Harrelson.
Right. So it's like, I thought the same thing, and then I thought, Woody Harrelson?
And Willie Nelson?
Willie Nelson? I don't think Willie Nelson is going to do a lot of rehearsals.
Well, and I bet it's a lot of improv, right? They're probably like, oh, we just need to do this in this scene. Like, let's not try to memorize lines. Just one of us has to say this at some point, right?
Yeah. But it very much is a singular performance because the one time they do that, that will be the performance of record. And it will not matter how good or bad they told the story any other time but that one time.
And you can watch it, but you won't be watching it live. That's the fun.
Yeah.
And the live stream is the hook. So
Yeah.
it's live, right? That's what they get you with all those NBC things.
Man, I would imagine they'd get really nervous. How would Willie Nelson and Woody Harrelson calm down before a gig like that?
Probably in the same way that arose this story in the first place.
Then it'll be a story. Live stream it to Facebook.
Possibly. All right. Sonequa Martin Green, a.k.a. Courtney Wells on The Good Wife. Oh, well, you probably know her better as Tamar on Once Upon a Time. Or maybe as Sasha on The Walking Dead. But she's not going to be any of those when she's on Star Trek Discovery. She's going to be the lieutenant commander who's the star of the show. Remember, Star Trek Discovery will follow the number 2 lieutenant commander around the ship. Michelle Yeoh has been cast as the captain. They've cast a couple of Klingons as well. And Star Trek Discovery still on track to come to CBS All Access in May.
Man, there's still plenty of time for them to screw this up, but I think that's a cool idea. I love the idea of fundamentally shifting the lens through which we view all this.
And I love Sonequa Martin Green. She does a great job on The Walking Dead, which is where I'm most familiar with her. And I think it's going to be interesting. The other thing is she'll still be on The Walking Dead. They're saying she's going to do both shows. So it's not guaranteed that Sasha dies in The Walking Dead because she's moving to Star Trek.
Is
maybe
it bad
that's
that
what
I
they want
don't
you to
watch
think.
any of these shows? I don't watch Walking Dead. I don't watch Once Upon a Time.
Are you going to watch Star Trek Discovery?
Probably not.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What about the Golden Globes?
Eh.
Yeah.
I'll watch clips on
about-
Facebook.
The red carpet for the Golden Globes, because Twitter's going to stream up the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, along with Dick Clark Productions, the red carpet pre-show on January 8th.
Okay.
I mean, this is only interesting to us probably because, hey, look, Twitter doing more live events.
Let me put it this way. Twitter doing this means that it is more likely than ever before that I will watch some amount of the Golden Globes. I've
But they're
never
not doing
been
the
more
awards.
likely.
Yeah.
So-
They desperately want to do the actual award shows. They're angling for that. I think that's what this is a step
Well,
towards.
and I think that would be a great match. We've talked about, what a match it is with professional sports, because that's where people are always chatting about that stuff. There are a few events that Twitter is just made for live electric in the moment. All of the nation is in one chat room, and I think it's smart for them to try to pair Periscope with those moments.
Or you could just get a friend who just commentaries the whole thing to you on Facebook.
Yeah, that's how I experienced the World Series. I did not watch a single frame of it, but I enjoyed all of the drama just by watching the reactions of all my loved ones.
That's fantastic. A couple more things here. Hulu's The Handmaid's Tale, starring Elizabeth Moss as Offred, will premiere on April 26th, 2017. And we saw at the top of the show the first official trailer for Blade Runner 2049 is out. That movie comes out October 6th, 2017.
I know it's not in the show notes, but can I just mention the cool DuckTales is coming out summer of 2007?
Yeah,
Or
okay.
16.
This is literally the first I'm hearing of this. Is it a live action reboot with all the
it's
ducks as
on
adults?
Disney XD.
They go to college and then they have to figure out a lot of
No,
tough
it's still a
things?
cartoon.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a cartoon. It's the reboot of DuckTales on Disney XD. And
Is it a gritty reboot?
what?
A gritty
Is
reboot.
it a dark, gritty reboot?
Well, one of the doctors is McScrooge.
Well, yeah,
From
and you
Dr.
got
Oh, yeah, David Tennant.
Yeah, David Tennant.
The Scrooge McDuck.
And there's like a ton of SNL people and Parks and Recreation. There's a lot of voice actors that you'll recognize.
Yep,
You should
Danny
watch- you
Pudi
should
from
watch that
Community. All right, let's start talking about what we've actually been watching on our screens. And Nicole, we'll start with you. What have you been filling your eyeballs with?
I love Last Man on Earth, and they just wrapped up the end of the year. It's not the season finale.
It's the
They do,
mid-season
half
finale.
year.
Yeah.
It's take forever to come out in the new year. So I just watched that. It was really great. I still love that show, even though it started with one guy, and they've since grown it to more than just one guy. I also watched The Goldbergs, The Middle. These are like my staple shows that I always find time to watch. And then I signed up for PlayStation Vue, their trial.
Uh-huh.
And apparently ABC Family has been renamed Freeform.
Yep, that happened less than a year ago.
I didn't even realize. I was like, what's this Freeform thing? It really feels like ABC Family.
Guess what? You're right.
They're doing all the 24 days of Christmas, so I'm watching tons of Christmas shows like Christmas Vacation and Santa Claus and Elf and some that I'm like, maybe I won't watch the old Christmas Carol version.
I just realized you said Elf and not Alf. I was trying to figure out when Gordon Shumway did a Christmas special.
I'm not going to bet against the fact that may have happened.
I mean, no, guarantee. I
Yeah.
mean, he showed up on Mr. Robot. Why not?
Yeah.
And since I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old, the reason why I signed up for PlayStation Vue is because they have Sprout. And they also have, I thought they had Nickelodeon, but apparently that's not the case anymore.
Sprout is very curiously singular programming in that it's the only channel I could think of that is actively targeting the 2 to 4-year-old demographic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cute, whatever. It keeps them entertained while I make breakfast and do stuff like that.
I mean, that is a very powerful functional ability it gives you is Sprout. 5 darn minutes of peace and quiet.
That's how you should market it, really.
Yeah.
I wonder, because all the Viacom channels disappeared, like you said, so Nickelodeon isn't on there anymore. But they left them on the guide.
Oh, Yes, they did, and that's what I was
Right?
like. Oh, I'm gonna watch Comedy Central. I'm like, no, sorry, go
So
here,
I
and you'll
think-
find out why
I-
it's not
which
here.
is super annoying that they did that. But I wonder if that's because they really expect them to come back, and there's some like fervent negotiations going on to figure out a better deal or something.
I don't know that it necessarily means there's fervent negotiations, but that seems like the kind of thing. If you're the tech person, you fire off an email to the brass saying like, "Hey, so I guess I read in the news that we don't have these guys. Should I yank these?" And the guy's like, you know what? They'll probably just, you know what? Just hold off, and that's where they are.
I'm pretty sure it's not I read in the news, but he's like, I got the order to remove the Viacom channels, but you didn't say to remove the guide. I'm going to remove the guide. And they're like, you know what? Hold off removing them from the guide, like you said.
Does the guide connect to the DVR? Do you think it could be for if you have old DVR footage of Viacom shows?
They might need to leave it up for 28 days. Yeah. Huh.
Possibly.
That's a good thought. That might be part of it too.
Yeah. So, but yeah, lots of kids shows. We buy a lot on Amazon Prime just to have the seasons available. Even when Nickelodeon shows kind of go away, and I'm part of these mom boards, and they're like, "Oh my God, they took whatever show off Netflix," and my kid's freaking out. So I'm like, I just bought it. It's there. So Team Umizoomi, Peppa Pig. Teen Titans Go is big in the house right now with
Dude, that's pretty good. From what I've seen of that, that's a pretty good postmodern, very funny take on the Teen Titans franchise.
There are questionable things in the show that I would like for my son not to do. So I'm like, crap. But then again, Peppa Pig teaches them silly stuff too, like saying lame. So whatever.
Well, that's lame.
That's parenting enough.
Lame that they do
lame.
that.
Well, and by the way, I don't blame you. I think we mentioned on the show before that we had to ban our kids from watching Disney sitcoms because it's always celebrating how snarky young girls should be to their dumb idiot parents. And at some point, it's like, no, stop it.
There are certain people that don't need to be trained to do that.
So some people it comes natural to them.
Yeah.
Are you sure it's not genetics?
You know what? Let's move on. What are you watching, Tom?
I've been watching The Man in the High Castle. We've made it through five episodes at this point. I didn't update my notes here. We watched a couple last night. It definitely is. I feel like it's richer to me than the first season. Like I'm taking longer with it, not because I'm not enjoying it, but because I really want to soak in each episode. It's a little darker. It's a little more introspective. We've pretty much exhausted all the material from the books at this point. And so I'm very curious where we're going with these characters. We're getting more looks inside the American Reich, which is the Nazi-occupied part of Germany, or I'm sorry, the Nazi-occupied part of America, where we had mostly looks inside of the Japanese-occupied parts of America in the first season. So yeah, I'm enjoying it quite a bit. And I rewatched Star Wars: A New Hope, because I saw that someone on Twitter had said preparing for Rogue One by watching Star Wars: A New Hope, and Gary Whitta, who co-created the story of Rogue One, retweeted that saying, this is the best way to prepare. So I did that, and I was really glad I did because it tied in nicely.
I saw that exact same tweet, and I had that exact same impulse, and I got as far as putting my fingers on the keyboard and thought, how many times, Brian? How many times have you watched A New Hope? Do you really need to throw one on the fire? And I was like, okay. And you know what? I think I got just about everything I was supposed to get out of Rogue One without it. Yeah.
It was fun, though. It was fun for me. And we just had it on the background. Eileen and I were doing some other things. But it was nice to look over and see Yavin and see the Death Star controls. And then the next day, because I watched it the day before, see all that stuff and go, oh, yeah, no, that was a nice visual symmetry. I definitely don't think it's required watching before you see Rogue One. But who hasn't seen Rogue One that really wants to see it at this point?
Well,
hopefully a
I've
lot
not
because
seen
I have it in
Rogue
the movie.
One.
What, you haven't seen it?
No.
Oh.
I have a baby and a 5-year-old. I don't know.
Well,
if
but are you going to get
Dude,
to
so
see it?
you-
Is that even possible? Because Roger Chang's got a 2-year-old and he's or 1.5, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to see it.
He probably has babysitters and family close by.
No, he doesn't. That's why he's not going to be able to see it.
He's not. Oh, I thought you meant he saw it.
No, he's like, no, I'm just not going to get to see it.
Yeah. By the time I work something out, it's probably going to be on DVD or streaming on Vudu or
I'll tell you
something
what,
like
you sound like you're a prime candidate. We were talking about last week about the idea of these $50 premium 2-week-old releases in home. It sounds like you would spring for that in a heartbeat.
I would eat that up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
Bring
I
it
love
to
it.
theaters.
Hey, Tom, I ain't watched nothing except for I did go see Rogue One last night, and late last night I watched Justified, and what I remember of it was pretty good. We'll talk about those in spoiler in time, but I have to apologize. I haven't been watching a lot because this whole last few days I've been doing a whole bunch of crossovers with the King of Random, Grant Thompson. He's in Austin, and I think we shot 5 episodes, definitely 5 episodes, maybe even a 6th in there. Lots of bonus material. The first one of them just came out today. He did an episode on churning butter, and so he had this idea of like, I wonder if it's possible to churn butter faster than it takes to make toast. Can you make butter faster than it takes to make toast? So we tried it, and we had a contest, and I'll let you guys find the answer if you go on over to youtube.com/The King of Random.
Hey, I know that kitchen.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Very cool. What are we on the lookout for, Bryce?
Hey, we got a letter recommendation from listener Andy. He writes, I just found Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency on AMC last night. I've heard that it is available on Netflix internationally, but not in the U.S. I watched the first 2 episodes and really enjoyed it. It's a BBC America production starring Elijah Wood. And it has a bit of a Doctor Who vibe about it, but in all the best ways. It's a bit silly, it's a bit crazy, a lot WTF, but so far it lacks the low-budget-looking corniness that Doctor Who sometimes has. You can watch the first episode without authentication or login, and the rest of the episodes with authentication with like a cable auth. That's from Andy from Snowy, Michigan. Andy's right. 1 season of Dirk Gently. I have to be specific. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency is streaming now on Netflix outside of the US, UK, and Canada, but it is available on AMC.com with cable authentication. And this is separate from the 2010 series on BBC4 called Dirk Gently. And of course, you can buy it on all of the major digital video stores. Have you guys heard of this, seen of this?
Oh my gosh, no, I've been seeing all the tweets, and it's on my list of stuff to watch because I follow Max Landis on Twitter. He does really fantastic YouTube videos from time to time.
Well, and he's one of the EPs on this show.
Yeah. Well, and I believe he wrote several of them from judging
Probably.
from his tweets. It sounds like he was apologizing for the way people felt about some decisions he made or something.
Well, if you got something we should be on the lookout for, email us, cordkillers@gmail.com. Brian, it's the holidays.
Yeah.
What are people going to do for gifts?
Oh my gosh, dude. As we type this, today's the last day. I think that if you go to scamstuff.com, I think the countdown should be saying a matter of mere hours remain for you to get sensible shipping options. There you go.
1 day is 3 hours, 52 minutes. Get on it for the 2 to 4 day shipping.
2 to 4 day shipping. I tell you what, man, we have a fantastic list of curated, awesome stuff. All of it is, I wish I could say I traveled the world and picked the best stuff. Instead, I've just spent literally 15 years of my life picking out really creative, awesome stuff. Everything from learning how to escape from police-issued handcuffs to making somebody's thought-of card appear in your wallet to reading minds to shooting fireballs from your hands to awesome curated, make your own brew. It's all at scamstuff.com. Everything from $5 up to $500. We have a gift ready for you. And if you hustle, you can find something for that uncle or brother or cousin that fits the male demographic. I suppose some girls like stuff.
I just realized I wanted to get something off the store for Christmas, and I will need to maybe order that either today.
You better hustle up!
Hurry up! But first, let's start the front lines.
Front lines!
Recode reports Facebook is in talks with studios to license television shows. That's right, Facebook wants to license television shows. Talks are being led by Ricky Van Veen. He's the co-founder of College Humor. He joined Facebook earlier this year and said, we're exploring funding some seed video content, including original and licensed, scripted and unscripted, and sports content that takes advantage of mobile and the social interaction unique to Facebook. The deals are said to be around $1 million a year, so much less than the budgets for shows by Netflix or Amazon. This is around the Vimeo Shorts or YouTube creator type stuff.
I'll tell you what, man. 10 years ago, Brian would have rolled his eyes, being like, what does Facebook have to do with making content? 2016, Brian says, hey, man, anything goes. It's the internet.
You're like, hey, man, do you want to pay me some money to do some content?
Yeah,
I'll do it for Facebook.
2016, Brian says, hey, did you ever see a show called Hacking the System? I bet that'd be a great original.
And Nicole Spag says, would you like some woodworking content, Facebook? I'll take part of your $1 million.
I have this great show called The Wood Whisperer, and people like watching woodworking on the internet.
Right on. Meanwhile, Amazon updated the interface for its Fire TV. The menu moves to the top, a larger space for art and horizontal rows for other or for shows or app options. With recent shows in the top row, it's available for second generation Fire TV box and Fire TV stick, and will come to older models in the coming months. I tell you what, man, I feel bad. I haven't been using my Fire TV nearly as much. It's just all on the PS4 these days.
I mean, it's a pretty new interface, but I haven't really been using the Amazon Fire TV a lot either, so I haven't been feeling the pain. But those who've been relying on it say that this is a much smoother way, especially because the stuff you're watching is right there at the top now.
That's all I use is my Fire TV.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so have you seen the new interface yet, or is yours not got it yet?
I should probably look for an update to see because I welcome anything that makes it easier and smoother.
Yeah. BBC, ITV, and AMC are teaming up to bring the U.S. a streaming service called BritBox, promising the largest catalog of British TV shows available. Shows that haven't ended up on BBC America or PBS or AMC or other networks may show up within 24 hours of airing in the UK. That includes the big hit series EastEnders, which isn't shown in the U.S. anywhere, Emmerdale, Holby City, or other examples. It'll also have loads of older titles like Brideshead Revisited, Upstairs, Downstairs, Keeping Up Appearances, Faulty Towers, stuff like that. It's set to debut before the end of March, but they haven't announced a price yet.
So just to clarify, BritBox, not a fetish site.
Correct. Nothing to do with Will Harris or
NBC and the International and U.S. Olympic Committees are planning to launch an Olympic TV channel in the U.S. in the second half of 2017. The channel will stream Olympic sports and related content year-round. NBC will also add additional Olympic sports coverage to NBC, NBCSN, and NBC Sports Digital. Dude, I know you're an Olympaholic, Olympophiliac. What word do you self-ascribe?
Who, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, Brian. I'm really excited about this channel.
Tom, I noticed that the Olympics was live on PlayStation View. I was like, what's going on?
Yeah, in fact,
thought
I
the Olympics
authenticated
was over.
the NBC Sports app through PlayStation View and got like all the Olympic stuff. It was pretty awesome. And one of the things I loved about Sling TV when it launched was it had the Universal Sports Channel, which was essentially this. It was all the Olympic style sports. And I would just turn that thing on and be like, let's see some water polo. This is great. Like something I didn't know enough about to care, but was really weird and interesting. And it sounds like that's what this is going to have. It's going to have all those Olympic sports.
Cool.
Thursday, T-Mobile announced that it will give AT&T customers who switch to T-Mobile a $35 a month bill credit for 12 months in order to pay for AT&T's DirecTV Now service. DirecTV Now is also part of T-Mobile's Binge On, which means it will not count against your data cap. So, hey, AT&T fans, move to T-Mobile and you get free AT&T internet television.
Real thing that happened this weekend. I walked into the room and Mom was just talking out loud like, okay, so there's an orange package and a blue package. Well, what's the difference? There's different channels. And I was like, what's going on here, girl? Which is how I refer to my mom.
Yeah.
And she said, like, I'm tired of paying for channels and I only watch 3 of them. And so I told her, I was like, check out the new DirecTV offering. I think it's a pretty good option.
Yeah, they're still having technical issues with DirecTV Now. I think they're worse than Sling TV's launch issues and PlayStation View's launch issues, but they're starting to get worked out now. And when the cloud DVR comes along, it'll be a very good competitive service. So if you can get in on the $35 deal, if you can get it free for a year from T-Mobile, it's probably worth locking it in.
Meanwhile, Vimeo updated its apps for Apple TV, Android, and an HTML5 app for Samsung TVs powered by Tizen. That sounds like a Street Fighter character.
Lord of the Jungle of OSs.
The app will begin playing from its curated cinema experience at launch. You'll also be able to access its customized feed, uploaded videos, as well as any videos you purchased previously. What a great idea! Being able to watch what you want at a click, that was pretty great. Now I don't even want to click. I just want it to turn on and be awesome.
Yeah. Absolutely. Nicole, do you watch much on Vimeo?
I don't, not really. So that's kind of lost on me. Maybe
Great
I
stuff.
should.
Great stuff.
there
Beautiful,
is some really good
curated.
stuff there.
They've really done. It's basically the IFC. If YouTube is broadcast television, Vimeo is IFC. It's really tightly curated quality content.
All right. We have curated the quality emails that you have sent us in dispatches from the front. Josh writes, I've been a cord cutter for 4 years now and have loved it. However, this summer, I expanded this to the theater and did not see any movies in the theater. He's a seat avoider. He's a parking lot nodder. I don't know what you call that.
That's our new show, Seat Punchers.
I waited for the movie to come to iTunes and purchased it then. When you look at the cost of a ticket, it is about the same cost of purchase. The cool part is if I like the movie, I now own it. If I don't, then I delete it, and it's the same as the cost of the ticket. Thought you guys might want to add this to the chicken challenge. I know this idea could destroy the movie draft, but Brian, we all know Tom's going to win, says Josh.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. We'll talk about that in spoiler in time, but I think that's a great idea. And I've been an advocate of buying content sight unseen and deciding that it's still worth it in the long run, but, for the convenience of not seeing ads. What about you, Nicole? Do you have an aversion to buying content when you don't know if you're going to like it or not?
Not at all. That's why I own Cars 2.
Oh, you poor thing.
No, I'm like, Cars 1 was good. Cars 2 must be great. No.
Now it's just hanging around in your Amazon feed, just mocking you every time you see it.
Do you ever go in? Sometimes you go in to like Apple TV, and I'm like, when did I buy this? Or when did that get to my account? There's a few things in
man,
there.
we should have a contest at some point, like a tournament of the most shameful impulse purchase. That would be like subscribing to Stars for Paul Blart too.
I still have Stars, by the way.
Meanwhile, Amar writes, I've made a decision. If I don't end up liking Voltron, I'm going to stop using Netflix. They have a surprising lack of family-friendly content, and what content they did have, which I watch, they got rid of. I was watching the Disney XD Avengers cartoon. They got rid of that. Then I started watching Columbo and the A-Team. They're getting rid of that. Are they trying to lose me? Of course. That might not matter to them because my little brother Adam still watches Dino Trucks. But if I don't like Voltron, which my siblings say I absolutely must watch, then I'm done with Netflix. It isn't worth it to me to try to hunt continuously for things to watch on Netflix when there are other things available like Designated Survivor on ABC, Falling Skies on Amazon, or Cordkillers on DiamondClub.tv. Let me say, I actually think that granted, I don't know what age demographic you are. If you're in your teens, I think Voltron will be mostly pretty good. I liked it a fair amount. I think the second season is going to be better than the first. I think it struggled a little bit to find its voice. But for anyone under 12, I think that Netflix, you're spoiled for choice. Nicole, are you with me on this?
As far as it not being Netflix not having choices for under 12?
Oh well, yeah, no. I think there's a billion choices.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's a wonderful wonderland for kids under 12. It might be that Amar. I mean, he's writing us at Cordkillers, so I assume maybe he's in the older kids demographic.
Yeah. I was gonna say we watch Netflix all the time, and it's almost too many choices.
Oh, but it's great. Like just when the kids get bored, because it's funny. Even my 4-year-old, she had just had a birthday yesterday. I would go through and I'd be like, "You want this? No. You want this? No." Like it's all stuff she's seen, and then we get to something new, and she goes, "No," and then she goes, "Wait." And then what was that one again? And so I think they're doing a great job.
I think so too.
Jesse, aka Hometown Rival, said, I've been enjoying the new TV app on tvOS, but I have a bit of a conundrum when it comes to the new single sign-on feature. My internet service includes a very bare-bones cable package, so they can count me as a subscriber, from which I have access to HBO and Showtime, and I use that to log in for HBO Go and Showtime Anytime on tvOS. Additionally, we use my in-laws' login credentials from a different cable provider to get access to other apps like FX, USA, Disney, etc. In this scenario, can I use my in-laws' credentials for single sign-on and still do a manual login for HBO Go and Showtime Anytime, or will using single sign-on always favor one set of credentials? I believe you can do this. I know what I did is I signed on as Sling TV in my single sign-on for Apple TV, and then I signed into Sci-Fi's app, which, although it works with single sign-on, is not authorized by Sling TV on single sign-on, and I was able to log in with PlayStation View rather than Sling TV, because that wouldn't work. So you should be able to log out of the app itself and then log back in. The issue is the single sign-on management benefits won't be there for those two apps, HBO and Showtime, but you'll be able to get them.
All right, meanwhile, Tom, you got stuff to answer for. Mark writes, Tom, I heard you sort of dismissing the new TV app on the Apple TV. Can't recall which show it was on, but I'd recommend you really try it. It's incredible and exactly what has been needed for years, especially for cord cutters. One of the biggest problems with keeping up with what we're watching in each of the apps, while Netflix is excluded, it has Hulu, CBS, CW, Showtime, HBO, and of course iTunes, as well as many others, but I think they need a cable sub. And of all of these apps, only Hulu has any semblance of a now playing a la TiVo or watch list. CW has nothing. CBS has favorite shows list, but doesn't let you know when something new is on. HBO Now, I don't know if he's making a very good case. HBO Now is surprisingly bad at maintaining...
Well, he's saying these native apps don't have these
functions. Got it. At maintaining a watch list. Showtime at least keeps track of what you've watched, but not on what's new. And even Hulu's watch list has a bizarre algorithm for ordering things. With the new TV app, I did it again. I tried to make it big. There you go. With the new TV app, I basically subscribe to all my shows in those apps in iTunes, and when a new show shows up anywhere, it pops to the front of the list. If I'm binging a show that's already done, shows me the next one available and bumps it to the front after I watch a show. And for shows I want to watch at some point later on and don't want to forget about, I just add it to the list. You can even put in movies you want to watch in it, and if you want to check out the series, for example, play an older episode, you could just long click on the show. This app solves nearly all my problems. And I think those problems are fairly common among cord cutters. We finally have one place to go to maintain all of our to-watch shows across nearly all apps to get notified when new episodes pop up wherever they are. What's missing? Netflix, of course. And that app has a fairly awful watch list function. Currently, my list row is often impossible to find, and perhaps integration with the PlayStation View DVR would be nice. But harping on the single login issues, which do seem pretty bad, but are basically irrelevant for cord cutters, just thought he'd share that with us. My question to Mark and Tom, from what I'm hearing here, this sounds like it's a wonderful experience as long as you're going to watch everything through the TV app. What happens if you're halfway through Stranger Things on the TV app and then you decide to watch on your mobile? Do you have to know where you are?
Well, no, you get the TV app on mobile. So if you're using Android, you're screwed. But if you use iOS, then you can watch the TV app on iOS. And I get what Mark's saying. We actually had some private back and forth on emails. If all of the things you need to watch are in there, then it's great, right? It keeps track of everything better, right? His long explanation of the deficiencies of all of those other apps, what to watch scenario is very true. But those aren't the apps I use. I use PlayStation View to watch a lot of things, like on-demand things, like Star Wars Rebels and all the AMC shows and Better Call Saul, etc. That isn't in there, and Netflix isn't in there. So Man in the High Castle, Amazon isn't in there. Now Mark said, well, you can't count Amazon because Amazon doesn't have an app on Apple TV. I'm like, that's even worse. That's an even worse reason why this doesn't work. So I just have a different opinion from Mark on this. It does not work for me at all because Hulu, and I guess the CW, although I really watch most of those over the air off my DVR. So really Hulu and some CW and maybe a little CBS is in there. That's way too many things that aren't in there to make it useful for me.
Is it one profile too? Like just everything?
Your whole family is one person?
Yeah.
I think now I may be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
Because I don't want my kids being, oh, what's mommy watching? No, let's not watch Stranger Things, kids.
Well, you can do different accounts on Apple TV, so maybe the TV app will adjust to that.
Maybe. That
But
would be
it just needs to absolutely have Netflix in there. I will always have to put up with the fact that Amazon isn't in there. So it's, until Amazon finally brings an app to Apple TV, it's still going to be kind of broken because I have to think, I have to go to a different source to watch this. It just doesn't quite do all the things. And when I have to think about what's in there and what isn't, it defeats the purpose of that app.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, Bill near Athens, Georgia says, are you going to do another episode of Pretend I'm Dumb about Star Wars for Rogue One? Yes. If so, are you going to pretend that you've seen the prequels but not the original trilogy? No. I'm going to stay in the timeline of Pretend I'm Dumb about Star Wars and come to this as if I'm expecting episode 8 because it's the next Star Wars movie. That's what I would expect. So if you're wondering what he's talking about, I did a series of watching all 7 episodes of Star Wars as if I knew nothing about them, and except the one that I had watched previously. That's at youtube.com/acedetect. Thank you, Bill. And thank you, Nicole Spagnuolo, for joining us.
Hey, we made it to the end of the show.
Yeah, congratulations. We know that you got a sick family in tow, but if people want, and by which I mean they're totally super aggro.
They're awesome.
Awesome
Sick,
dope.
man.
They're but if people wanted to get more of your lovely voice, where can they hear you?
You can hear me every Wednesday on the morning stream and every Friday morning on the Wood Whisperer Offcuts channel. My husband and I, we do a woodworking video show. Well, my husband does the woodworking part. I do. I run the business side of the things. So, but yeah, that's where you can find me. And you can find me on Twitter at Nicole Spag.
Thank you again, Nicole, for joining us. Our website is cordkillers.com. Our email address is cordkillers@gmail.com. We're live on diamondclub.tv Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We will kill your cords again next year.
Oh. Hey guys, Tom and Brian here. We just wanted to say thank you to all of our $5 patrons who keep us loud, live, and independent. You guys make Cordkillers the production that it is.
Your name appears in the video credits and appears in our hearts. And if you'd like to become one of them or see who they are, you can go to patreon.com/cordkillers.
You'll need to do more than just go there, though. You'll have to sign up and, pledge an amount. But
Unless you just want to see who they are.
Well, I mean, you could gawk. That's a little creepy, isn't it?
If you want to be a gawker,
Let's go.
it's up to you.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.